Yeah. So let's do this.
I feel bad. I didn't put the class. I didn't know everything.
This is perfect, actually. This is right in our wheelhouse. This is what we do. So.
Well, that's why I was going to talk to you. As time was passing, I was realizing we're not going to pull this off.
All right. So you've seen the ATM model. We've talked about this in detail. I'm going to speak as if you don't know much, though, just so anybody you show this video to will kind of get them caught up to speed a little bit. So right now what you've got is you've got a great opportunity called people are reaching out to you saying we need help in how to create kinship services programs. You want to say, well, that's great, but this is not something that we do for free. We have this as a consultative service that we provide nonprofits, and you need to pay us for that information. This is the direction that I believe you're going, right? Great. So at your core, if looking at this from a business perspective, okay, so what is your core product or service that you offer?
It's called kinship navigation.
No, I'm talking about entire children's home network, the entire thing.
The core thing is strengthening children and families.
Great. So that might be what the institution feels is their core offering is. And that may be it, but remember, who's your customer?
Our funders.
The funders are the customers, so when they give you money, what do you give them in return? Right, that's the core offering, right? So maybe that core offering is philanthropy, it's a feel-good notion, maybe it's a great tax deduction, maybe it's connections with other individuals in the community that they can provide a philanthropic effort to you, and then they expect some sort of exposure back. So, like for example, the Rays and the Bucks and the Lightning, they don't do anything, I don't want to say they don't do anything out of the kindness of their heart. They are very generous corporations. And they do that with the expected benefit that they're going to get public notoriety. They're going to get exposure as being a kind company. So essentially what you're doing is when you're charging for your core offering, which is a donation, an annual contribution. Wait, actually, how much of your money comes from grants?
About 80%.
About 80%, okay.
So I want to shift this to grants, though, Topher.
Okay.
Because this is the grant-funded, it's not the donations. The donations come after. This is the contractual funding.
Got it.
We promise to deliver on certain outcomes, the 145 outcomes that I talk about.
There we go.
So they're performance measures that talk about children remaining healthy and safe and not abused or
perfect. So this is it. Your core offering is that you provide 145 metrics. So when the U.S. government, the state government, the county government, anybody gives you money, you can say in exchange for this money, we're going to provide for you 145 metrics which outline the efficacy rates of these different treatment programs, right? Now let's keep clear on that. That is your core offering, okay? So now from the ascending transaction model, this goes for your customers, okay? So your customers essentially are people who give you grants. That's your customer, okay? Before they give you the money, though, they are considered a prospect. And before you even think that they're a prospect, they're going to be considered a suspect. So in other words, there are thousands of agencies that offer, Steve, would you mind just texting Anna and having her bring my charger for my iPad, please? So there's thousands of agencies that offer grants, right? But not all of them would offer grants to your organization. So we have to have a filtration process that all of these thousands of grants self-select or deselect where then would they get the prospects. And now these are the ones that you send the proposals to. And then from there, those are the ones that become the customers. Now we would also then define the fourth element is what we refer to as clients. So for us, a client would be a repetitive grant that you can count on a regular basis. So you can put into your budget, you're pretty good at this one over here.
That's okay.
Yeah. Like give me a grant that every year you just pretty much know they're going to be coming through. Which one would that be?
Right, so we have a seeds grant.
A seeds grant. So you can pretty much know you're going to get 100 grand or 200 or 50 or whatever it is. I don't know. 2 million. There we go. Yeah. So you get 2 million. The seed grant. That's a client, right? So what we do here is we have, in order for you to attract all of the possible suspects, you're going to create a series of gifts. Okay. Yeah. Remember this? And then those gifts, if they qualify, they're going to become a prospect. So this is what we call a P for P, or a product for prospect. And then here's your core offering, which is those 145 metrics. And then over here you have your P4C, or referred to as a product for client. Okay? So currently right now, people are calling you up saying, we need some advice on kinship, okay? But we don't know if that's the kind of agency that even has the ability to pay you over here, right? Or pay you over here. So a product for prospect, remember you charge them either a phone number, an email address, or some money. Those are typically the things that you exchange them for. Now a product for prospect can be thousands of dollars. Okay, when you're looking at your core offering or your client offerings as $2 million seed grant every year, what's a good grant here? What's the lowest kind of grant you guys probably try to go for? 100,000. All right. So it would not be outrageous to think that you could be charging $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 for services over here as well. Does that make sense? Yeah. And in many respects, if you can get a company to pay you a consistent retainer fee for consultative services over here, there's a possibility that somewhere down the road that could become an acquisition for you, or a new partner where now they join on with you and they start providing these services, right? So when you're looking at, hey, how you doing, Juan?
Good. So
Good, man. To me, what it sounds like is that you're starting to play in this space right here, which is what we refer to as products for prospects. Okay, and the reason I'll call it that is because anything less than 100 grand isn't a customer; it's a prospect. Yeah. So how do you get them into this place where they want to pay? Well, you can give them some free things. So what I would do is this is how I would delegate your staff. I would create a series of products that are a total of about 2 to 3 hours total. So you might have 10 products that are all 15, 20 minutes apiece. Get the idea? These products could be, these gifts, could be reports, they could be videos, could be audio, all that kind of stuff, right? So when somebody calls in, the first thing you do is you give them free gifts. And essentially, by the way, you give them these free gifts with nothing in expect. You don't even have to collect their name on the phone, right? You're not about trying to trap their data, because frankly, you don't want to waste your time courting these people if they're not even a prospect. Make sense? Yeah. So tons of free gifts. That each one of those free gifts at the end, when you said we have that stuff already, you still may need to be repurposing it slightly, because most free gifts don't have a good enough call to action. And you really want a strong call to action to where after that free gift, let's say there's a video called the 10 biggest mistakes people make with kinship, right? And then in those videos, you go through the 10 mistakes. Well, at the end of that video, say, hope you've enjoyed that. These 10 mistakes, while informative, are nowhere near as deep as they need to be if you plan on becoming a $5 million charity or above. We've been in business for over 126 years. We've measured these metrics for the past 76 years. There's no way in this brief minute video that we could possibly go into all of those details, but this is a service we provide for other charities that are willing to make a modest investment for an impressive return, right? If you'd like to learn about that, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you. In fact, we have an additional report that takes these 10 things and goes a little bit deeper, and for a payment of $250 or something like that. Now you see that you're starting to create. Yep. So now you're starting to create these things.
Mechanisms in place. We just didn't know how to pull it.
Yeah. And then you can literally have multiple products in here. You can have one product for $250 on the first mistake. Another one, like it could be a whole package to where each one of these things is a 7-hour training module. I would scale it if I were you to where because you just said your challenge is staffing to be able to sell those services. Well, don't sell those services 10 times in 1 month. Sell that service one time in 1 month and record it, and then sell the recording 10, 20, 30 times a month. Does it make sense? Yeah. And that's how you scale it, right?
Just pulled it together.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I might have to call you again, though.
Happy to. I'm happy to come out to the board and share them with this or whatever, the team, if you need to. But that's a real easy play, and it just requires a little bit of thinking in advance that before you deliver the advice, you go, well, what's the inherent value? How could we record this to where we could scale this up? And I think you could get something like that in place pretty quickly. Now, one of the best gifts that you could have, or one of the best products for prospects, that you could have, knowing that this law has changed, and this might be even a pivot, I'm not sure, we'll find out where you're at. This could be in lieu of, or it could be in addition to. But if you had a book on kinship.
Oh, gosh, that's what I'm working on, though.
Is that the book?
Yeah, yes.
All right.
I would still say we're still 85% there.
Okay, so I would do whatever it takes in the next 2-3 weeks, because this is one of those things where you need to have first mover advantage,
It's the truth.
and you have to be the first person to publish a book on this topic. And if you, as Irene Rickus, can publish the first book on kinship services, we're talking TED Talks, we're talking speaker tours, we're talking speaking before the House and the Senate.
You just did.
Did you personally?
Well, I was one of the ones, I didn't, I ended up being very sick and had to cancel my flight.
Gotcha.
My two staff did.
Okay, cool.
But I have done it before too.
Yeah, but like that stuff is amazing footage. Just the photo opportunity alone. If you
We
sit,
don't use it right though.
Yeah.
We missed it. I mean, our two staff were there.
Yeah.
We haven't even, we put it on Facebook.
yeah, that's all right.
No,
But
not enough.
but that needs to be on the front page of your website, and say this is the woman or this is the group that the government turns to for advice, and the law was even developed partially at the advice of
Yeah.
Children's Home Network, but absolutely. So
We strongly influence legislation here in Florida.
Uh-huh.
In December, we also testified before our state
Right.
Senate committee, and we maintain contact with him to influence that. We don't know promote it enough, but anyway.
yeah, it sounds like, and maybe this is where your marketing person needs to step in and get some of these more strategies as well. Have you given her the login credentials so she could watch all of the videos? She'd probably
I
love
think
that.
Oh my gosh, I took her to the web. I took her to our portal.
Uh-huh.
I must have, but I have to double check.
Yeah. If you just give her permission to sit down and watch videos during day, because a lot of people think that they can't do that
No, they
during
can't.
work, but that's perfect. If you put her through the entire customer story and put her through the entire productization steps for this, and she could really become a great spearhead for you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. That's great news. But I tell you, don't think for a minute that there aren't another 50 people out there currently writing a book on kinship services, though. Okay. So what has to happen for this to go from 85 to 100?
So my portion is complete.
Okay.
Other than I have to really edit it, but it's
Yep.
done. It's our researcher was going to do the last portion on the research that has occurred at our place for over 15 years.
Okay.
So she's given me her, I don't know, I won't say the first portion, but what she's completed, she gave to me last week.
Mhm.
And every Tuesday she listens. I kind of copied what you did. I would send out reminders on text.
Mhm.
But there aren't federal grant got in the way this 2 weeks. So
Yep.
she's writing, it's a 6-week deadline, they're writing in 2 weeks for us. So I backed off, but she'll pick right back up again.
Okay.
That's really the holdup is Dr. Littlewood finishing.
Okay.
Some of the research.
Is there something you could do even in between now and then? Like you just said, you need to edit it. You shouldn't be editing it, though. Are you hiring an
No,
editor?
Revise. I don't mean editing it.
Okay.
I mean going back over, like you all said, just keep writing.
Yep,
And
you're-
then you'll move things around. And
You're in that phase then.
So I finished 2/3 of that already.
It's referred to as the first draft and the second
Yeah.
draft. Yep. So you're in the second draft phase.
Yes, I finished the second draft, other than about a third of just the last portion.
Okay. And then at that point in time, you need to get into hire an editor, a
Right.
content editor to go through that. Do you have contacts for that, or do you need us to
I was
help you?
gonna get that from you.
Okay, cool.
Just use the contact.
So, Steve, could you text Jody real quick and just tell her that we need to send Irene the editing services? So she'll get on you with that one, and I'll make sure she holds you accountable, because I don't think you can afford to wait.
Timing.
Yeah, like you need this book needs to be up on Amazon within the next 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's an aggressive goal. That's probably not going to happen. But if you could start shooting for that, the lady who's doing the research, who's also writing the grant, she is a paid staffer for the.
She's a paid consultant.
She's a paid consultant. Okay, cool. So if she's not doing her job, you could fire her and find another consultant to do it. Okay. Is there a way you could hire a separate consultant just to do this information for the book?
It's her work.
It's her work. It is. Okay, cool. Is she co-authoring this, or is she?
She's gonna co-author with me.
Okay, gotcha. All right then. So that's fine.
Gave everybody that status.
Yeah. But if you were to fire her, could you hire somebody else that would be able to find that same kind of data, or is she very unique in this respect?
She's unique in that she could talk about the historical development with us. And,
Okay.
the nuances, but another researcher could do it if it was an awful thing happened, and Kerry will come through on this. It's a matter of timing.
Gotcha. So if she's a third-party consultant, though, right? So it may even be worth you. I can't stress how important this is. It might be worth paying her rush fees or extra to just say, listen, I understand you've got a heavy workload right now. We will pay you extra for you to get this content rushed out. Yeah.
I can do that, but I was just thinking, just when you said that, what about the idea of a ghostwriter who interviews her, takes her material?
Yes.
She's published so much.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I think, the #1 person in the nation publishing on our work.
Okay.
So what if I paired her up with a ghostwriter if she can't?
Yep.
I'll offer that
Mhm,
first, because
mhm.
her writing would be better.
Yeah.
And that way she can talk through it, hand the material, and get it done.
Yes. So that's a great thing. It sounds like this is a bit of a technical expertise. So a typical ghostwriter may not have the experience needed in that area unless she can provide to them so much of that content that they can pretty much organize it and put it together. But I'm a little blind on that, so I'm not too sure. But we've got a list of ghostwriters we can put you in touch with.
Let me talk with her and
Yeah.
see, and I'll offer an incentive.
Yep. But there are companies, for example, like there's a company called Zursk. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Zursk?
I'm not sure it's ours.
Yeah. It's basically a ghostwriting company that you pay people per word, and you can find people to write on any topic out there. There's experts in armed security services, and you can just go and hire somebody, and they'll write a book, and you can pay, and it's like they bid out for it, so you can say I'll pay 6 cents a word. But if you want a top one, you say I'll pay 20 cents a word. You're going to get a higher quality or high caliber speaker, right? So depending upon how low per word you get, you end up getting low quality, right? But I can't stress the importance of this, Irene. You want to be the first person to write a book on kinship services, and believe me, there's 50 other people writing a book on it right now, especially when that stuff comes through, because there's just opportunistic people. Yeah. So, all right. So, and that's
All right, thank you for that.
yeah, and that's it.
Great.
And by the way, maybe that book becomes a free gift where you just offer it as an ebook online for free, just to get the
We
SEO.
weren't planning on selling it other than maybe like a $10 donation, or just give it away, because it's about spreading the word, opening up. It's about opening up the way professionals think about caring for children and families, and provide some solution.
This is a Steve Parker play. So when Steve wrote his book for lighting, the original intention of his book was, when he wrote that, he had planned on printing a specific number of those books and shipping them out to the CEOs of LED companies overseas, specifically targeting them. And what you could essentially do is you could get, and I'm sure this data is available somewhere, a list of all of the children's home providers throughout the country, right? So what you do is you just go to your board, you say, this is the budget, we're going to print. How many organizations are there throughout the country?
Oh, many.
Like 50,000 more?
Oh, let's say 50,000.
50,000. But out of those 50,000, how many could afford to pay you consultative services?
Right.
Because let's face it, a lot of those are probably like little tiny mom and pop shops that have 10 kids.
I would target state, the state agencies that fund all those little, because they'll take that and then they'll give it out. They'll talk about our service only to those that are.
Okay, perfect. So state agencies, how many are there going to be across the
Oh, there'll be
country?
50
state agencies. Okay, great. So this is one of the things where you go, we're going to print 50 of these books. We're going to send that out to every one of those state agencies, right? And then we're going to have one of our staff call every one of those agencies to make sure they got the book. Do they have any questions about the book? And then you literally start a direct targeted campaign where those 50 agencies get some free gifts, videos, top 10 mistakes, those kind of things, and then maybe they are the ones that send you
Yes.
your prospects. Does that get the idea?
That makes sense.
Boom. That's it. All right. That's all on video, so hopefully.
Fine service. I look for it.
Yeah, I'm not spelling the right name.
Ghostwriting is a huge.
Actually, text Colleen and ask her what's that funny sounding company that does ghostwriting per word. Because Colleen was the one who turned me onto it, and because it's not Zursk, but it's some weird, crazy ass name, and I can never remember it. And what always comes out is Zursk.
I'll talk to Dr. Littlewood and offer 2 options. and see
Yeah,
what he
you
says.
just say, this is critical. Yeah, that's exciting to hear. All right, hey Juan, how you doing, buddy? Good seeing you. It seems like it's been forever since we've seen you, because you weren't at Profile Day, were you?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't make it a profile.
And I don't think you made it to the Momentum before that as well.
No, he was there.
Did you? Okay, yeah. So it just seems like it's
You
been a long
weren't
time.
here. You weren't here.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I wasn't here. That's right. Yeah, Steve and Jody did that one. Oh crap! Did I?
Put it on yourself.
Damn it!
Don has a nice shirt.
Those are dry erase markers, right?
No, they're not. That's permanent marker.
Oh, there is a product that takes out ink and markers.
Really?
Carbona something, little yellow things. You
could you text Anna and have her search for cleaning agents that get out permanent ink from shirts and order it ASAP? Because this is one of my favorite shirts. I'll be going home and...
man.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt. I like the
Yeah, it's a good one.
inside the collar.
This was one of my favorite buys. It's like a $400 shirt, and I got it at Nordstrom Rack for $50.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Makes
talking
it even
about.
better.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's
That's where I buy all my shirts now. I find them and they rarely fit me, but for the amount of money it costs to get them tailored, it's still like 70% off the retail cost of a stupid shirt.
So,
Yeah.
so what's the trick? You say you buy it, and it's not exactly your size?
Yeah, so I'll buy them at Nordstrom Rack, and
Yeah.
even if they're like the sleeves are down here, then I just take them down to my local tailor, and he shortens the sleeves for me, and I got them. Yeah.
It's worth it versus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Every once in a while they have like there's this one shirt that's like it's called English Laundry.
Oh, I like English laundry.
Yeah, and they're ridiculous. I would never spend that much money on a shirt, but I get them at Nordstrom Rack for like $50.
These are from Nordstrom Rack.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite places to shop. All right. Okay, so we got a couple themes we're going to go through today. This is a very unique momentum, and this is kind of a, hey guys, we're almost done with this. Where are you at kind of
No
day?
shit.
Yeah,
It's right around.
it's right around the corner,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So we have a theme, and one of our themes is that discomfort precedes victory.
I'm there.
Yeah, and that's true in everything in life, by the way. Everything that's ever been a victory for you, there's been a certain level of discomfort, right? That's just it's just a kind of a factor of life, right? You want to get to the gym and lose the weight, you're going to go through some pain. You want to, double your income, you're going to make some sacrifices. There's going to be some pain. So there's always, maybe not pain, but discomfort, right? So what you can essentially understand, though, is that the more discomfort you experience, the more victory you will have. The less discomfort you have, the less victory you'll have. This is why there are so many mediocre people on the planet.
Mighty discomfort.
Right?
You are?
Yeah.
See how good that is?
So if we look at how you're doing in the KPI program, are you satisfied with the level of victory? And if you've not achieved the level of victory that you're looking for, the only solution is you have to be willing to experience a certain level of discomfort. Now, I'm not saying you're not having discomfort in other areas of your business, but with regard to the KPI process specifically, it's a real clear formula. You have to be willing to say no to some other things, have that discomfort in order to get those kind of results. Why don't we? Well, there's a glitch. There's a glitch in the matrix. And it's basically like this. If you spend too much time in the deliverables of your business, then you experience certain problems. You have time management problems, distorted priorities, no documents or processes for scaling up through your business. There's no stress testing of the ascending transaction model. You're just so caught up in the thing and focusing only on this that you've not really built anything around it yet. And you're kind of just still, trying to go, well, let's just keep feeding the monster without going, wait a minute, why don't we look at the meal plan, right? And let's develop that. So this sounds familiar.
Oh,
Yeah, and by the way, there's zero judgment coming out of my mouth on this one because I would look at myself in a mirror and go, I'm equally guilty as anybody else on this one. This is one where the forest is, you can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. But there's a really cool graphic that really kind of identifies this. And I think based upon the size of the room today, I'm throwing out the curriculum and we're going to do a couple of other things here, which I think you'll like. So here's the thing. This kind of describes how most entrepreneurs operate and run their business. If you look at where they're putting their chips, there's way too many chips on the functional side. And there's not enough chips on the vital side. So let me explain what I mean between vital and functional. I'll do it through a story. So when I was 20, I don't remember how I was. I remember the guy that I was working with, he was 26 years old though. So I met this guy. I signed up for this process called the game with Serrano Kelly. And the game was basically you pay $5,000 and then somebody else pays $5,000 and Serrano hooks you up together and then you get on the phone every day for, I think it was, I want to say 90 days or 9 months. I don't remember. This was years and years ago. And you're on the phone with that person every single day saying, what are you going to get done today? Well, here's what I'm going to get done today. If you don't get done, what's the consequence, right? And you play this game to see who can get more stuff done in their business. Well, he teamed me up with this guy who was 26 years old. His name is John, who's had a net worth at 26 of $30 million. The first time I organized my first call with him, I was on hold while he was finishing a deal buying one of Donald Trump's homes. That's the level this guy was playing at. Now, I didn't know he was 26 at the time. In fact, on the phone, he sounded like he was an old man, right? And it wasn't probably a good month or two into the program that we finally get beyond the formalities and we start learning about each other's lives personally, that I find out that he's 26 years old. And I'm blown away, and I'm like, how did you get so rich so quick? Was this inherited, you know?
Right.
He goes, no, this is all learned on my own. And he had done it all in the span of 5 years. Now that is exceptionally high growth, to have that high of a net worth in a 5-year period of time, right? How did that happen from 21 years old to 26 years old? That's just insane, right?
Right.
Here was his strategy. He started working as a financial advisor in a firm, studied them obviously. At age 21, he opened his own financial services company, studied for Series 7, got his brokerage license, and he opened up his business. Now here's what he did. This is his story as he accounted it to me. He said, I went out to my favorite resort in Phoenix. I rented the suite, and I stayed there for a weekend, and I wrote out a list of everything that needed to get done in my new company on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual basis. And he had categories of every single thing, right? So daily, phone calls. Weekly, weekend reports. Weekly, empty the trash cans, right? Or daily. You get the idea. That level of granularity. He spent an entire week and he had over 700 different things listed out that would have to be done on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual basis. And he said, he goes, and then after I got all of this laid out on the dining room table, I had all of these little posts. There was one job for every single post-it, right? He says, I started circling the ones that I was uniquely qualified to do. Now, that was his terminology. I'm going to shift over to our analogy later, right? But his terms was, what am I uniquely qualified to do in the business? And when he sat down and he looked at that, and this is where the story, by the way, becomes a little bit anecdotal, and I'm making stuff up because I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say there were 8 things that he was uniquely qualified to do out of everything. He's not uniquely qualified to empty the trash, to answer the phone, to file the paperwork, to do all, right? And he just kept going, no, anybody could do that. Anybody could do that. And there were only 8 things that he was uniquely qualified to do, right? And he goes, so here's what I did. He goes, I opened up shop. And I only did those 8 things, and I hired people to do all of the other 700 or 694 92 things. Now, that's kind of genius on its surface level, right? But if you're thinking where I was thinking, I was sitting there going, well, yeah, but it makes sense for you. You can afford to hire people like that. I don't have 30 million. I can't afford to hire people to do all of the things that are simply what we refer to as functional. So I told him, I said, well, that makes sense for you. I go, you have the ability to do that. I'm not worth 30 million. I can't do that. And here was his response. He goes, yep. And he goes, and it's attitudes like that that'll keep you from ever having 30 million, and it's attitudes of mine that'll turn mine into 3 billion. And that was a real hard-hitting shock for me because I was the motivational speaker at the time, and I just got my ass handed to me by some 26-year-old kid, and I was probably in my mid-30s at the time, yeah? And that really struck me, and it was like, wow, you know what? I'm using such a level of media. I'm using my resources as an excuse for why I can't. When here's a guy who's sitting there going, listen, I know that if I only do these 8 things, and I hire people to do all of the other 600 and some odd things, 700 and some odd things, within 30 days, I will have amassed a level of sales that are so high I can pay them. So instead of him thinking, well, I don't have the resources, he just simply set up a deferred payment arrangement with these employees where for deferred payments, he would reimburse them not their hourly rate, but their hourly rate time and a half in exchange for a deferred payment. I think it was 45 or 60 days. I'm not exactly sure what it was, right? That's not brilliant. And all of a sudden, he had an entire staff of people. He had no payroll, and all he had was a team of people doing all of the functional shit to let him do what he needed to do in that business. And that's how he grew his business. That was phase 1, right? So now looking at this in terms of phase 1, if we look at our chips, I would refer to as anything which is functional or things that you are not uniquely qualified to do. But only the vital chips are those things that you are uniquely qualified to do, Juan, as being a second-generation business owner in this business. Only you are uniquely qualified to do it. And being somebody who has the military background that you have, to understand high-level strategic play. Only you are uniquely qualified to do, Irene, but being in the industry of this, right, and tracking these, what are those things that you're uniquely qualified to do? Because everything else, if you had the time, money, and resource, you could hire somebody to do it, all of that is functional. Now this is worth exploring, isn't it? Because the moment you can isolate what you can do vitally in your business and only do those things, what you will start to discover is a level of rapid scale in your company so amazing that you better buckle up, because the company's going to be growing very fast. This is essentially, by the way, what Mike Lawley does with some of his clients, whether he knows it or not. He might be using different terminology, but that's the key to scaling and growing businesses, right? Is making sure that you put your aces in your places and you're only doing the stuff that you should be doing, which focuses on growth of the company, right? But not being tempted to do all the other crap. Now, here's phase 2 in what John did. It wasn't about just doing those 8 things. It was about doing those 8 things, but then also developing a 90-day game plan to fire himself from one of those 8 jobs. Why would he want to fire himself from one of those 8 things every 90 days?
Free himself up to do other things that are profitable.
Yes, because if you're scaling your company at such a rapid growth, within 90 days, you're going to acquire a new responsibility, which you are uniquely qualified to do, that you can't even conceptualize right now. But if you don't make space or room for that, what'll happen is now you've got 9 things. And as soon as you got 9 things, now you have 10. And you have 11. And now what you do is you have 11 things that you do poorly. So this is the brilliance. It's not just identifying what's vital and what's functional, but then saying to yourself, how do I outsource and get rid of these things off my plate so that I can make room for new things which I can't even imagine now? When I met John, by the way, at 26 with a $30 million net worth, he was down to 2 vital functions every day, and all he did were 2. I don't remember what the 2 things were, by the way. All he did were 2 things, and he knew that he had to fire himself from one of those. And his game that he was playing with himself was, he said, I get to retire when I fire myself from everything. Pretty amazing, right? You might be asking yourself, where is John now? I don't know. We were not allowed. Part of the game is there's no contact after the game is over. So I never got his last name. I only had his first name. I had a phone number. I don't even know his company name. Yeah. So I think, if you want, based upon kind of the nods that I was seeing between both of you here, this would be a game worth playing today.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it would be totally.
So now, to put this in perspective, this is something that I do actually for clients, but I charge them $300 to do it. But well, let's do it here today, because this is important, right? If you're not really, and by the way, you can also take this same exercise that we'll do here today, and you can take this into your your executive level and do it with them. They can do it with their mid-level managers and do it with them, and it's amazing the level of scale and growth that you're going to find yourself doing. So, what we'll do is we'll do this in. Well, actually, we'll put this on hold for a second, and now we're going to get caught up in terms of the content, because I want to check in with you guys, but I wanted to make sure everybody was here before we did that. So I want to check in and see how you guys are doing, find out what wins you guys have had. So we'll kind of take a pause on this, but let's throw out our agenda and let's just do this. I think it'd be much more powerful for you, right? Are you cool with this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Have we done this with you?
No.
No, I didn't think we've done this. Have we done this with you, Michael? Oh, great. So this is something I'm not doing with any. You guys will love this. Honest to God, it's one of the, like when I work with the executive sciences, they go, this is one of the coolest things I've ever done. So
You can say some of the things that we do with that are functional.
let me prep you to tell you what this is going to be like. This will be a very painful exercise for you, because it's really kind of like your own internal come to Jesus meeting, and you have to admit all the stuff. And I'm really talented at coming up with titles for your jobs that you do that are really demeaning, so you really hate doing them as well, right? Yeah. I was working with one of my guys, Jeff Wilson, who's got a pool company. They do backyard pools and outdoor escapes and stuff, and we're going through this itinerary, really detailed. You're not going to get 700 today, by the way, but we're going to get 30, 40, 50 of these things, right? And one of them is he says, well, sometimes I have to deliver product. And I go, errand boy. So I was like, really? How's the CEO taking a job doing errand boy work, right? And he was like, I hate that job. This one exercise that we're going to do, by the way, is the one thing that I did with Rob Hessel with Source One Solutions, who's that one guy we keep talking about, who has now jumped from, the company, it's just not even, it's a joke at this point in time how much he scaled his business. He is, when he started with us, he was doing, I think it was 2.3 million in sales. They're doing 2.3 million in profit. They're doing over 2.3 million in profit EBITDA. It's just insanely high right now. I believe right now they're slotted to do somewhere around 10 million, and that's if they don't get any more deals for the rest of the year. So they estimate, based upon their projections and their growth, they could finish this year somewhere around a $30 million company. And what Rob does is he keeps firing himself every 90 days from a
That's
job.
he's
Yeah,
doing
yeah. We've done this exercise with him 3 times now, and he literally, like, at the end of the first one, he goes, "I hate you for this," because he just realized all the stupid stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, 5-6 hours of his day was done functional. That's probably
I
honestly.
know, I struggle with it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I should not be doing this, I should be working on whatever it is. But,
Yeah.
well, everybody's really busy and there's no one else to do this. And
Yeah.
so it falls to me. And I think, is this like a female thing that I'm doing?
No, it's not.
It's
I promise you, you'll beat yourself up. One's doing it. Even Michael O'Lally, he's probably getting stuck doing some functional stuff in his business, which drives him crazy. Yeah, yeah. It's
I think of it every day.
yeah. It's not. Nobody's immune to it. Well, so here's the goal, by the way. The goal, the real entrepreneurial bet. This is a painful company, by the way, but this is a fast-growing company.
Yeah.
When you put all your chips on Vital and very few of your chips on functional, holy hell, that's a vast scaling company, right? That's our goal.
So it's just a matter of identifying vital versus functional.
And I've got a process for that, and we'll walk you guys through it today.
And then, for instance, in our company, I have subject matter experts in the different areas that we're trying to scale up,
Mhm.
besides kinship.
Yes.
And so I would do this exercise with myself here today, but I
Yeah.
would do the same thing with them because they're facing, my 2 chiefs are facing the same problem I am. And I feel bad.
Mhm.
Here, I'll do that report if you don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll do it this weekend.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Because they're in the same boat as I am. So we
Yes.
would do that. And
We
then
do it with them as well.
empower other people.
And here's the thing, the problem with subject matter experts is that they're experts, so they think nobody can do their jobs, and so they just keep doing, I'll do it, I'll take care, and they just take on too much responsibility.
That's 3 of us.
And that's probably why your co-author for this book hasn't quite got it done yet, because she's doing too many functional things that frankly she should be outsourcing to other people, and she'd have all the time in the world to write the book.
In fact, she just said that most recently. She said, I need to be talking to funders, but
Yeah.
then we can't get her,
Yeah.
So she would be the 4th person.
All right, cool.
All
Well,
right.
we're going to do an exercise then. But before we do that, real quickly, let me just check in and see how you guys are doing. So we check. Irene's been here, so we've kind of already done that. She had a big win that come in for her this last month, which was federal laws changed, and it could provide a huge open door for her with regard to selling her services to other charitable organizations all throughout the country. So that's a huge one. What other wins? What's going on with you guys? You've had.
I'm tired.
Yeah. He's had some highs and some lows, that's for sure. I remember, when Michael hired us for this program, he did so under the auspices of, and I remember this dialogue very quickly. He says, "I've had every job offer on the planet, but the one that I've never had is CEO." And he goes on, "I want to get a job offer for CEO." We're not even done with the program. How many offers for CEO have you had in the last 2 months? 7. Yeah. Like, his problem now isn't, will I ever be a CEO? It's the problem literally is, which job do I take? Yeah.
Doing the right one for the right reasons.
Yeah. Which is why he's looking that way.
I get on a plane tomorrow for Korea.
Yeah, that's right. How's that speech going for you? Feeling good about it?
I think I'm probably going to make it up on the flight.
Well, you at least have 6
I have
contents.
the stri-
Yeah, you have the structure.
We did a strategy session.
Yeah.
And I've gotten that into a deck. So I'm
Good.
going to then figure out how I want to weave those stories. in.
Perfect. All right. You'll do
And
just
the
fine.
Solutioning. So I'm doing the keynote presentation at in Seoul, Korea for their innovation hub. 450 companies are coming together for a conference. I helped a company based out of Korea start an IP company, and they're launching distribution and licensing company, and I got them $15 million in funding. And they have a formal offer to me right now to be the CEO of that company. So, a lot going on.
God bless you.
Yeah.
And yes, I am tired.
Yeah. And he missed the last you missed the last momentum, or you missed profile day,
Profile day.
because that was the day after your son broke his
Thursday
leg.
night was the event.
Thursday, is that what we're calling it now? The event?
Oh, whatever we want. but-
Can we? I feel so bad. So Thursday he calls me and he leaves a message. I can't remember what it was. I can't come to profile day tomorrow. My son broke his leg. Now his son is 27, so I'm like thinking, big damn deal. I mean, come on, he can hobble himself to it, walk it off, right? I mean, he's an adult, for crying out loud, right? So I'm like sitting there just judging Lolly, like, what a pathetic excuse for missing profile day. 27-year-old kid breaks his leg. Sure, you can take him to the ER, but at the end of the day, he can find him way to the bathroom. He don't need you to stick around and wipe his butt all day. And so I'm sitting here judging him. For this whole month, I've been sitting there going, why is he making such a big deal of it? So then we meet last week, and I go, how's your kid? He goes, here, and he pulls out his phone. He shows me the broken bone on his leg, and it's like this. I mean, it's broken in half. And I go, holy hell, man, he really lollied the hell out of that. And he looks at me, he goes, no, he goes, I lollied it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I broke my son's leg. So now I'm starting to have a little bit more empathy, thinking, okay, he probably felt bad broken, but it's still. And then he's telling me the story about how he broke the leg, which they were wrestling in roughhouse, and then his son was running over and jumping on him and stuff, and his leg got trapped under the couch or something?
Slid his leg underneath the couch for leverage to keep me from being able to pull him up.
Pull him up, and then he pulled him up and he snapped his leg, right? So this whole time now I'm still thinking, but I'm still, oh wait, no, it gets worse. It gets worse. No, it gets worse. Yeah, because I'm still sitting there going, but still, I mean, 27-year-old kid, he can go, yeah, that was a good one. You did on me, Dad. And then he shows me the picture, and it's his 3-year-old son, not his 27-year-old, the whole time. Because, think of a 3-year-old breaking a leg, right? I'm laughing in this whole story. I'm feeling like a jerk. I'm like, oh, dude, I thought this was your kid Toph, not your poor 3-year-old. Yeah. So his poor little son's got this. Well, that's what I told him as soon as I found that out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my Bikers Against Child Abuse president.
Yeah. I mean, he would have been
Here's all my
fine.
training I've been through the CAC.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
You want to write it up, write it up. I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell you.
But oh my God, I felt so bad laughing at the whole situation because I was still thinking, hey, in fact, I think you showed me the picture, and that's when the penny dropped that it was your 3-year-old boy.
Smart by putting his leg underneath the couch for leverage.
I've been
I mean,
teaching him jujitsu.
Yeah.
So it's like he did exactly what I told him.
Yeah,
When I went
yeah.
to lift him up, I heard crack, and
heard the noise.
I'm like, I called my wife's name. I'm like, get in here now. And she said, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, he's broken his leg. And she's like, how do you know he's broken his leg? And I looked at her. I was like, I don't know. I was trained as a combat medic. It's part of my job in the Army. I know what a broken leg is. Like, I need help.
Yeah.
And then got into the emergency room. Walk in the emergency room. They look at me. They go, are you on Medicaid? That was the first thing they said.
Yeah.
They did?
Yes, that was the first question.
Shame.
And then, will you be able to pay any of this tonight? And I'm thinking, it was just a horrible experience. And then we had to have an orthopedic surgeon look at it the next day. And my wife was just a basket case. And it wasn't until we got home and then we were back and then it hit me. Like I came out of that. From the military, you go into a heightened level of awareness. And then when you get back to the rear echelon is when it all hits you, like what you just did and saw and everything.
Yeah.
And it was just like being in the military.
Yeah.
I was sitting on my couch and I just started sweating. Because this is this 3.5-year-old I'm supposed to.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I know. Yeah. But the kid's a champ, man. He's taking it like a champ.
Yeah, so I came home a couple days ago to our new house and he's looking at me. He's going across the room backwards going, hey Dad, dragging his legs behind me. So it's been.
So he's had some pretty good highs and some pretty good lows. Yeah. What's going on with you, Juan? Wins. What's been happening?
So we've been reaching out to a few different IT-based companies,
Mhm.
as we call it.
Mhm.
My terminologies for all this stuff is too great, but in developing these, not products or prospects, but really it's the stage before clients. So that
The free
idea is-
gift?
Yeah, that let's say for example, this is to simplify it, right?
Mhm.
We're working with a company that has developed an app that is what they call Shake to Alert. So the design behind this is that you have this app on your phone. You can give it to your students, your teachers, your employees, residents at apartment complexes, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
And what this app allows you to do, allows them to send out a panic function. It's starting to become a popular thing on the market to have. The unique thing about this particular one is it records both audio and visual for up to 10 seconds, so that if first responders are tapped into the system, they can get audio and visual of what's actually happening live on the scene to this individual over there. The other thing is that it allows a GPS ping, so pinpoint
Perfect.
the location during the entire time. It sends out notifications to basically whoever you have in your emergency contacts, as well as if this is integrated into a security officer management program. So if there's security personnel on site, let's say it's a school and you have security officers on campus, they get the notification and it pinpoints their locations.
Okay.
If it's let's say an apartment complex, you know, the security officer on scene gets the notification and gets advised where they have to respond to. All right. So it also has a number of other functions. So we're building that into a way that it's a very low cost, easy to access kind of product that we can bring to people and say, okay, hey, look, we can bring this app for a very low cost, control, you know, kind of thing.
It's a monthly subscription?
Monthly subscription.
Perfect.
$8 a month per person.
Yeah.
Right? Very, very digestible.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
And then, you know, hey, these are the other things that we can do with this.
Mhm.
And use it as a wedge to get in there. Now, what about, you know, who's going to respond when the alert goes out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you thought about that? Are your people trained to do this?
Mhm.
No, they're not trained. Okay, well, guess what?
We have that too. Yep.
We got that too.
Mhm.
Okay, yep. So, but you don't have security personnel? Yeah, we provide that. So on and on and on. So the idea is we're trying to get into that you know, I guess
Product for prospect. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Kind of thing, and really get our foot in the door where we otherwise wouldn't, because let's say if I'm going out there just trying to market armed guards, sometimes people are just like, well, we're not in the market for armed guards right now.
Right. We don't have the budget. We don't have it. We don't.
the
Yep.
budget. Yeah. So you want, or that they just don't perceive the need.
Mhm.
So we're almost, you know, building the need. So now you got the app. You know, you got the app. Well, who's going to answer the call?
Mhm.
Right. So slowly kind of work them into that process. So that's a win. So we got that side of it.
That's
and
great. Now,
two other
is that up and running already?
It's up and running already.
So you have that as a service that you can provide.
Right, it's a service
Ah.
we can go out and we can sell already right now.
Fucking amazing, dude.
And we're in the process of trying to integrate it and or we're in beta testing to run our guard management software as far as incident responses,
Mhm.
where our officers are at, geofencing their locations.
Yep.
So even the clients can turn around and say, okay, well, where's my officer? Why isn't he?
You'll know exactly where he's at in the
Exactly
building.
where he's at
Yeah.
all times, interface, you know, from a management and client standpoint. So it's we got that as well as communications link. That's pretty cool. Working with the company's called Mutual Link that we're signing up to be a channel partner with.
Mhm.
That you know will serve as an additional component whenever we're going to these schools or businesses, and we're saying, okay, well, how are you guys answering the call when things go down? How are you communicating interagency-wise? Let's say, for example, down at Parkland, when everything went down there, you've got fire, EMS, the various alphabet law enforcement agencies, DEA, FBI, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, ATF, whoever's showing up, they're
Mhm.
showing up, as well as the locals. Okay, now how are all these people communicating?
Mhm.
So one of the problems even we faced in the Coast Guard
Mhm.
is, you know, and that happened in the 2 weeks, which is why I wasn't here for profile,
Mhm.
but on my 2 weeks active duty. You know, we're heading southbound in the ICW, and we had, you know, Dunedin Fire Rescue heading north, and then we got Dunedin Police heading north on their patrol boats, sirens blazing, other shit. And we're coming from that exact area, and we're like, hey, did you guys hear anything over the radio? I mean, is anything? You know,
You would think if
notified?
you're going the opposite direction and sirens are going the other way, you might want to know about it.
You might want to know about
Yeah.
it. Right. So the moral of the story is, and this tends to happen, you know, we're using standard Marine Band channel 16
Yeah,
to
I was gonna say.
communicate out there.
Yeah.
Not everything is put out there. So if a call goes into 911, it doesn't necessarily go out to all the agencies that an incident is occurring and where that incident is taking place at.
And it wouldn't be on 16.
And it wouldn't be on 16.
There's no way.
You know, they're going to be picking up the phone, and not only that, and then if we actually have to communicate, we're the assets in the field responding. Let's suppose they manage to get a hold of my station. My station calls us, says, hey, okay, on our secure radio or cell phone or whatever, this is where you're going. If the different assets, let's say fire rescue, the police, FWC, and Coast Guard are out there responding on scene, the only way that we can communicate is channel 16.
Yeah, there's
Or
too much
22.
traffic on there
There's
for
too
you
much.
guys to try to deal with.
Either that, or we have to exchange cell phone numbers over the radio.
Oh.
Okay, see how that might be problematic for
So
national
everybody
commerce.
can listen to that. You can have a marine band radio at home, you know, if you wanted to communicate with somebody that's
Yeah.
on the water, and they would get their cell phone number.
Of course.
You can't do that.
So this mutual link is a software and hardware solution that I can turn this desktop into a dispatch system that allows me to communicate verbally, share files, share pictures, share video feed. Let's say this this building has CCTV systems. We can patch everybody into this central hub
Nice.
or network. And even if you have different agencies on their own independent networks, you can then group them together if there's an incident that they all have to respond to. And now they can all communicate and share a line, but they don't have to share that line dedicated all the time. You know what I mean? Where they're stepping on each other. And it's a really very interesting and useful program that, you know, we're, again, another one of those products, prospects, or even just a product in and of itself, where we can continue to develop the full
Nice,
scale
man.
of it.
Love it.
So,
Yeah.
Is this something that you have exclusive right, or is exclusive for a geographic area?
It's not necessarily exclusive yet, but we're the first in the Tampa Bay area, you know, from a regional player standpoint, that they're coming to and asking us to be their channel partner in this regard. They have a couple of people on a national level, like Stanley Security or Convergence Technologies, which is, you know, same people that make Stanley tools. You know, but they mostly deal with extremely large government contracts or corporate contracts. You know, they're going to go out and sell to the GEs and the WalMarts, and they're going to be massive. They're not going to be worried about one school or one building or one business. You know, it's not really their focus. So that's where we kind of come into play. Right? So if we actually start stepping up and kicking ass at this, I can actually ask for exclusivity rights.
You should actually ask for it out of the gate. Steve's got a really valid point he's going after.
Yeah. That way you control it, and no one can take it away from you. You can scale it up at your rate, and you don't want the rug pulled out for no reason.
Okay.
Cool.
So can I back up a little bit, because that name is Zeres. So Zeres is the company that does.
Zeres.
content
See,
work.
Zersk? It's so close.
Yeah, so close. It's on another hemisphere. But it's
There's a Z in there.
There's a Z. So it's like Jerry's, Zereys. I guess Jerry's with like 2 R's, wouldn't it? But it's called Zeres.com, and it's content for. They're noted for, you know, delivering good content for as low as $15, but you can get a free quote, and they have all these programs. They have a nice website though, but.
Yeah. Yeah, they're I've used them before. You have to be very technically, I think, savvy to get it. Yeah, it's I even paid them extra $500 to have somebody walk me through it, and they didn't even do it. So, but you can post the job, and you can do auditions, and you can have multiple people and stuff. It's pretty cool, but it's for me. Anyway, one, I almost had a lead for you yesterday. It was at $1 Place, and I met a guy who does. I can't remember what it was, but basically he hires armed security services, and he helps. Anyway, I said, I've got a great lead for you. It's Martinez and Company. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I love those guys. They're great. He goes, I work at the port all the time. Now I'm trying to remember his name. Let's see if I've got it. So I was going to give him and you and Rob Hessel his lead, his information, and
What does he do?
I'm trying to remember. Now I'm trying to remember which company.
Was he a security company?
No, he worked for this. Was it Chris Chambers from Tico? Maybe I didn't get his card.
Yeah, Chris Chambers.
Chris
yeah,
Chambers.
Tico.
Okay, yeah. So
Chris.
yeah, so I thought I was going to have a great lead for you with Tico, and he goes, yeah, we love the guy, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, good. So I'm still going to put him in touch with Rob Hessel.
Hey,
Yeah,
but it still makes an impact.
it does
The fact
when
that-
you say there's the best guy, and he goes, yeah, I know that guy. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
You know.
Uh,
I have a few of my friends that are
also,
part of that
Steve,
party.
could you remind me to connect Juan with Luis Ortega? Do you know Luis? Luis Ortega? So he's KPI. What are you guys? KPI 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's KPI 10. So he has an IT firm, and he specializes in schools. That's all he does, is does IT infrastructure for schools. So from your shake to alert thing, a partnership with his IT company, which is in bed with all of the schools in the Florida area, could be a huge, like he could upsell that probably overnight to the majority of the schools.
There we go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So Steve, you could remind me to do that,
Yeah,
that'd be
send you a
great.
text.
Cool.
Louis Ortega?
What's that?
Louis Ortega. Is that correct?
Yeah, Luis.
L-U-S.
You know that Big Wheel does that, right?
No.
And he's looking to change. He runs the security labs at one of the community college. He's looking to find something else to do.
Let's put Big Wheel in touch with Luis. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, interesting. All right, cool. No, I didn't know. All I know about Big Wheel is that he just scares the hell out of me when he walks in a room.
He's big.
Yeah.
He's big.
I
Yeah.
always call that.
Have you ever met him?
No,
Big Wheel makes Michael Lawley look like me.
really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not kidding. How big is this guy?
My height, 490.
490. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he is big, and he's got a big bushy ZZ top beard as well. Yeah, like he's the kind of guy you want him you want him behind you in a bar fight.
Viking
No
tattoos
question.
on both arms.
Yeah, yeah. Massive. Yeah.
Get the picture.
And yet, like one of the nicest, most gentle kind of guys as well, you know?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, oh, that's nice.
He's Patrick's favorite person on the planet.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Those two are thick as thieves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's go through this. Let's go through this process, guys. We're going to do this. No, normally I would do this on a one-on-one, but I've done this in group settings before, and it works very well. So we'll just have you guys pair up with each other. I'm going to pair Irene and Juan together because you guys know each other so well. It'll be too easy to let them off the hook where you guys don't. So,
All right.
and then I'll work with Lolly. So here's how this process works. It's a multiple phased approach. What we're going to do is we're going to have you write out a list of, but you can't do it for yourself because you'll just get your brain will get lazy and you won't come up with all the things, right? So I need you to elicit from her all the answers, and then we'll swap, and then I need you to elicit all the answers from him. But it goes kind of like this. So I want you to make a list of everything that you find yourself doing on a daily or weekly basis, right? So Michael, I'm going to demonstrate this with you real quickly here. So with your job at Magellan, what's it called? What's it called? WellCare. WellCare. Okay. So give me a list of what are some of the things that you do at WellCare on a day-to-day or a weekly basis. Maybe there's a regular monthly thing as
Morning
well.
stand up.
Morning stand up. Okay. Now, and by the way, I don't need to know what that means. I just know that he knows. Morning stand up. Okay.
One-on-ones.
One-on-one.
Strategy sessions.
Strategy sessions.
I love this one. KPI reviews.
KPI reviews. Different KPIs, but that's all right.
Budget reviews.
Budget reviews.
And then just in general problem solving.
Problem solving. Cool. So this is pretty common, and he said that very definitively, like that's it. But I know for a fact he probably does another 30 or 40 things. But what happens is your brain only has a certain level of bandwidth to hold a certain number of jobs, and then you'll hear this kind of declarative comment like, and blah, blah. When you hear that, let him breathe it out, and then say, okay, what else do you do, right? And you're going to ask that what else question 3 or 4 times, right? And then rephrase the question a couple of times as well. Like, here's a great question which will have him buffer a whole new set of data. What are the things that you find yourself doing that drive you batshit crazy? Right? And now that's a totally different question, right? Because in this context, he was thinking about what are the things I do. When I say what are those things you do on a regular basis, he was probably thinking when I'm in my flow, these are the things I do. But yet, what are the things you do that drive you crazy?
That's the truth, that's the key.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is just dealing with the unnecessary drama
Unnecessary drama. Okay. So we'll put down drama
That's true.
and affecting culture.
affect culture. Drama dealer. I try to put them into like job titles, right? Yeah. So when you're being a drama dealer.
Explaining technology to the business and explaining business to the technology, vice versa.
Okay, tech explainer.
Yep. And then the business explainer to the
Translator.
technologist.
Biz explainer.
I like that.
Okay. You get the idea? What?
Product and technology architecture overview.
Product and tech arc overview.
If you've got your point across, we can stop. I've got a bunch more once you
Right,
said
yeah,
take
and we'll keep doing it
once you said
privately.
take problems and break it down. I was
Yeah,
like, okay.
I got a whole
Let's
crap
go all
load of
over
them,
the
right?
place.
Yeah, this is the unpleasant part, by the way. But you get the idea, and you want to get this as detailed as you possibly can. If you aren't pulling out probably 30 or 40 different things you find yourself doing on a weekly basis, you're not going deep enough, and you're not getting granular enough as well. Okay. So I'll have you two work with each other. I'll finish doing this with you. It'll just speed the process up. Otherwise, if I do it with each one of you, it'll be like we'll be here till 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock tonight. It's just too late. Yeah. Oh, by the way, tonight, are you guys sticking around? You're sticking around. You're sticking around? Are you sticking around? Y'all three are. Okay, cool. So this is going to be packed in here by 5 o'clock.
It is. Are we,
Yeah,
it's in this room?
yeah, it's going to be in this room.
Here?
Yeah.
Get
So.
more table, I'm thinking logistics. Gotta get more chairs to bring out?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be standing room only. We're gonna literally, it's gonna be, we've got.
That makes it more exciting.
Yeah. I asked her. I said, oh, how many people does he need to have to make this worth his while? I mean, running for governor, you don't want to speak to 3 or 4 people. She goes, well, typically like a minimum would be 25, but for business owners, he's happy if he speaks to like 10 people. And I go, I can cover you with 10. We limited to 25. We've got confirmed over 30 people. So it's going to be packed in here.
I could have brought people if you had space.
Well, and you know what, though, here's the thing. So
There's so many.
he will be so impressed with this, I think, that he's going to go, can we do this every time I'm in Tampa? So
Yeah.
if you want, we'll certainly open it up. And if you've not met Philip, he's a great guy. I'm not making, obviously if any of the other ones called me, I would do the same thing for them. But Andrew definitely impresses. Andrew is one of the other ones. Philip has impressed me immensely.
Green.
What's that?
The green guy, Andrew Green, is that his name?
Andrew Gillum.
Gil.
Yeah, he's impressed me as well. Honestly, I think I've kind of picked Philip as my guy, but Andrew, like that man is like, man, he can move people. He's like he's like an inspirational speaker. He's really good. So from that perspective, I don't know, but Philip's pretty good too. All right, so I'm gonna have you two work together, and then I'll just work with you, Michael. If you want to come up
By
here,
the
we'll
way,
do
I
this.
had an epiphany last night.
What is
I
it?
figured out what's wrong on Facebook.
It exists.
Everyone is channeling their inner Margaret Thatcher, and they're purposefully polarizing stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Is that what she did?
She took, when she was running for office, the two sides were arguing.
Mm-hmm.
So what she did was she increased the messaging to make them hate each other more.
Deepened it.
Oh, did she?
And she used that technique through her entire legacy.
Uh-huh.
But the problem was that she went so far into it, she couldn't back out of it. And that was her demise.
Interesting.
So
Maybe
it-
Trump might
but
want to
she-
study the end result of what. Yeah.
Correct, because she specifically made people hate each other.
Yeah.
Which is nothing.
And she
Yeah, that's
believed-
a
she
I mean,
believed it
maybe
created-
he studied her.
It created control and gave energy.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they're all channeling their inner Margaret Thatcher at this point.
Weird.
I'm full of all sorts of worthless crap.
I would say.
I'm gonna go get my glasses.
Hey, are we gonna have a gun debate tonight?
Listen, I would love for you to. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to say, listen, Philip. I go. This is going to be one of the hardest crowds because I've got Democrats, Republicans. I've got Hillary, Bernie, and Trump voters. I got Christians, Jews, atheists, and Hindus.
I love
I've
it.
got single moms, family. I mean, I've got everything. Adoptive parents. And I don't think there's one person in this room who's like the other person in this room. It's
Very
like,
interesting.
it's just.
That makes it even better.
Yeah. So he's got his work cut out for him. He can't just sit there and peel the one fruit.
We have a new shirt coming. You made a little bit of a mess of this one. I think it's better to have.
That explains the shirt that Jody. Well, I'll wear a jacket on top of this, so he wouldn't
Well,
see it anyway. But
we have a new one, and I think it's better to have Anna take it to the cleaner. They have a cleaning fluid that they can run, so
probably
they're
fine.
professionals rather than getting something like a white spot on your blue shirt.
Probably a good idea. Yeah.
They can do that.
That's
Really?
Jody sent me a text message that came through, and it had a picture of a shirt that was ironed. And she goes, "Well, this do." And I'm trying to put it together, and I go, "Well, I already changed
I've been
into a
handling
shirt."
that in the back.
That makes sense then. All right, cool.
Okay, so
I'm wearing
we'll get it
clothes,
taken
right?
care of.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go get my glasses.
How have you been?
Good. I can't complain.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here, actually.
Does your watch actually tell time?
Well, kind of watch is that? I don't, wow.
Oh, man, that is cool.
Those are all single step motors that have been synchronized. It
Oh
was
my
designed
gosh.
by an artist, and then he hired aeronautical engineers to build the watch.
Is it electric or self-winding?
It's electric. It sits in this real
It
space
sits in
age
a
looking
charger,
crate.
yeah.
What kind of watch is that called? What is that
It's called a Devon Tread 1.
Wow.
Very cool. Very complex to make. Pretty cool.
I think I'm wearing like a Toyota Camry on my wrist or something
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
And you said you're moving too?
We bought a new house, so right on the edge of Tampa and Town and Country, there are those houses right on the water. We bought one of those. So,
Wow. And so you did move, you said?
no,
Oh,
we're in between.
Wow.
He moved here so he could vote for me.
Yeah, I did. I told him that. I said, I'm buying a new house and moving to Tampa so I can vote for you. And he thought I was kidding.
Aw.
So now we're closing on that house, and we're like half of it's up there, and some of it's in the new house, and the house was built, so I had to have like custom blinds made, and it's funny, you go and you buy a washer and a dryer, I'm like, $4,000, are you serious?
Of course, because now they have to sync up with your phone.
Yeah, all these apps.
Oh,
and
yeah.
crap. And then,
Yeah.
by the way, they run a water line to the dryer now, so you can steam your
Mystic.
clothes.
It's mystic, right?
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Really?
Well,
Yeah, you take the wrinkles out that way and,
Yeah, so we're
Aw.
going through that whole, the final
Things are
punch
changing,
list.
yeah.
I had to have the blinds put up, so they had to be custom made, they were gonna be put up, and then I have the movers move, and then, so,
Congratulations.
thank you.
She got a new banner in, so I have to entertain myself real quick and see how it turned out. Because it's like Christmas, you know, when you get a new one, you got to see if it turned out okay.
So, yeah, and we can't take Patrick to daycare, taking with a broken leg, so my wife has been trying to run the real estate stuff off the side of the couch. So her stretch has
That's
been,
easy.
like,
Yeah, off the charts, right?
yeah, I actually shut the lead generation systems down just so that she didn't have to deal with new clients.
Wow.
How's Patrick holding up?
It's good. It's
It's a tough kid.
register pain like most children, which scares me because I was the same way and I was always doing really dumb things as a child.
He really,
I'll take it.
Yeah.
that's
What's up?
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What's he doing? And that's his cast, that big green
Yeah.
thing.
Aw.
Boy, tough break.
Oh, and it's literally from his groin all the way to his
So
foot.
I get the actual break.
Is it a spiral or just a clean?
It was clean.
I felt so bad last night.
It was very
You
clean.
should.
Sure. And I'm sure that, because it's kind of like, why isn't he participating in the laughter with this, you know?
Mm. Did he have to have any surgery for that?
They were able to reset it without surgery.
Didn't have to set it, so I did 3 consults, 3 different orthopedic surgeons. So I did an ortho and then I did 2 pediatric orthos.
Which hospital did you take?
You know, I don't remember the name of it. It's a children's hospital on 54 because we were in between. So we have the one house on the ocean in Newport Richie, and we had the other one in Tampa. And we were actually had just gotten back over there to do another load on a Thursday night. We were going to take another load of stuff back over, and we decided to take a break, literally.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I'm screaming to my Kim. So my wife Kim, you need to get over here now. And then we got him out. This is my favorite picture because when he finished, got his cast on his leg, and I said, "You can have food from anywhere you want. Where do you want to go?" And he said, "Waffle House." So this is him sitting on his
At the Waffle
beanbag. No,
House.
this is him on his beanbag. We've got Waffle House to go.
Oh, to
Yeah.
go. So it's been, oh, God bless him, really.
So yeah, it's been
Anything he could have.
yeah, it's been
Oh, it's so stressful.
yeah. Yeah, watching my wife cry is not fun. So it's kind of weird how you have the makeup where you can go in the military and do all of those things and it not really bother you, but then you watch your son or your wife get hurt and it's like
Oh, it makes me cry.
almost crippling.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So much closer.
So you excited about Korea?
I am. That's big weird.
Wow.
I think I met him at the birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah,
did get the card, though. They did today.
Good.
Thank you.
So I showed you guys the story about David Goggins.
Mhm.
And you know, I trained Julie's son Adam. Were you aware of that? So I trained him on life philosophy. I trained him in the gym, and I trained him about mental toughness. And I introduced him to David Goggins. I guess this time for a break. And he
Yes,
was,
happy.
he was
I missed my
watching
call.
he was watching the David Goggins video. Adam and his sister Emily are out in California going to the GIA system. This is Julie and Steve's son and daughter. And he calls me like all excited, and he goes, and he sends me this picture. So he's at the Diamond show.
Who is
That's
it?
David Goggins. Remember the video
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
showed you guys?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's in California, and he's
Oh,
been watching this
cool.
guy's videos. And
why was David Goggins at the time?
I don't know. So I reached out to, because reaching him is almost impossible. So I reached out to his manager about a week ago about bringing him to Tampa. And I said, make sure you spell my name.
Because you know each other, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
We know of each other.
Oh, okay.
So it's a small world. I didn't do anything exciting like he did, but we just, because of some circumstances, we know each other. So I'm gonna try and get him here. His speaking fees are $25,000
Yeah.
plus travel. So
Wow.
now I'm trying to figure out how do we get the right venue so at least pays for itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because having him do a speech, you get 45 minutes, but the 45 minutes is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working on. I don't know if you have any ideas, but I'm working on trying to get that done.
What do you want your shirt?
Oh, shirt's here? Okay.
Hey,
Let me
someone's
Let him
eating
finish
the
eating
apple.
before he changes, no.
Take it with the pens. Yeah, I was wondering why she sent. I sent the smart ass response back. Go, I already have a shirt, but thanks, wife. Like, why would you go to my house and iron a shirt for me?
I'll show you this. I found one of my junk kits the other day.
I won't go change my shirt.